Okay, so January is the month where we all make resolutions, sometimes crazy, sometimes unrealistic, but sometimes much needed, and we do keep up to it, as a step to make better versions of ourselves. So with that in mind, I invited my personal trainer, Patrick, for a little catch up and to talk to him about fitness levels, milestones, goals, and particularly alcohol-free lifestyle and how that impacts our performance in the gym and in generally how it betters our lives, I suppose. And also, I'm really interested to explore Dry January, particularly how some of your clients take to it. We can talk about something that's called Damp January now, which is a new thing as well. I think most of people know me and know my story, but to those who don't, I'm the founder of Drink Dry, and I gave up alcohol about 7 or 8 years ago. I was privileged and lucky to live in the UK at that time where the category was booming. So I was probably one of the early guinea pigs of the products that were coming out into the market. And it was really exciting because I made that decision to go alcohol free and not for 1 minute had to feel left out or even wonder or question why am I doing it. And then fast forward in 2020, I found myself in Dubai with nothing other than sugary mocktails available in restaurants or a most amazing plethora of alcoholic drinks, but nothing that suited me as a consumer. I grew up in Eastern Europe, so access to like Western sugar drinks was not necessarily there in my early childhood. So I never developed a taste for carbonated sugary soft drinks, wasn't allowed them as a child. So when I grew up as an adult, I never had, the desire, the inclination to go that way. So I was really looking for some healthier options that me as a adult Erica can go out and enjoy. And that kind of started to me starting Drink Dry, where I wanted, because I was so convinced that there must be other people like me out there who are feeling left out, whether, it's at home barbecues or going to restaurants or having weddings that they weren't catered for. The worst thing to go to a big gathering, particularly a celebration one like a wedding, an anniversary, somebody's birthday party, and be drinking water all night. It just destroys your soul. You feel so forgotten. You feel so unseen. You feel so unimportant. As a guest, somebody invites you to their wedding, to their birthday party. You feel special because it means you're part of their close network. They want you to be there to celebrate. And they just completely don't cater for you, So anyway, so I was convinced there are other people like that. So that's what led me to starting Drink Dry. And I was amazed that the demand that was there when we finally tapped into it, I think just blew all of our minds, right? So Patrick, you and I have been working out together. And in general, you've been holding my hand into my fitness journey for almost 18 months now, I think. Probably just over that.
Nearly 2 years now.
Yeah, I think after I had my third child, and full disclosure, with my first one, I went back into fitness pretty easily, really super easy. With the second one, it took me a bit longer, but I still kind of did it, on my own. And then I just knew that with my third one, I was super busy, started kind of leading an office life, sitting at the desk. So I knew that I needed some help. And then I met you, and that's it. And we've been working together now for 2 years almost, right?
That's right, yeah.
So do you want to introduce yourself, tell everybody what you do, what kind of service you provide, and yeah.
Sure. I'm a personal trainer and health professional. I've been coaching and training people now for 5 years. So on a one-to-one, semi-private group classes and also online. I have 9 years worth of experience in health and fitness. And I've been based in Dubai now for 2 years. 2 years working in Dubai. And I work with Joff Bunt, who you know.
I do, yeah.
From Movement Wins. And our small business is based around just living a healthy and active lifestyle with...
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think we talked about this a lot, that, Dubai lifestyle sometimes can be perceived to be a little bit vain and a bit highly strung. And what I loved about Movement Wins, even like before you joined the team, is just how welcoming it is. And those semi-private classes were genuinely for normal people. Like you turn up and you do your best in a class, and you feel like welcome and encouraged, and you feel part of a really supportive network. And I think that's something that's really special about you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's always been Josh's philosophy, and since I've come on board, that's what we've always aimed to lead with, like introducing people who, whatever their experience, whether that's from one end of the spectrum, from somebody who's never trained before and they're right at the start of their journey, on a fitness journey, and then with someone who has a ton of experience, like maybe CrossFit background, or they're familiar in the gym, they're comfortable. But our goal is just introducing people and continuing that message of just living a healthy and active lifestyle.
Yeah. And I think I'm a living example of that. To this day, I can see my first session with you in my home gym after I delivered my third child. And on the first session, I couldn't do a lunge, right?
Do you remember? A lunge. Yeah, I remember.
I couldn't do anything. Like from somebody who was so active and so sporty, was going to the gym 5 times a week before I had 3 kids, to somebody who couldn't do lunges. Like it was shocking. It was embarrassing. It was demotivating, like for me. Yeah, and then we just come such a long way. In just this morning, we ran, I think, 5 or 7K.
7K. Bearing in mind as well, holiday period, Christmas period, you did no training, right?
Yeah, correct.
Not good, but everybody deserves a rest. And then the fact that you just easily get back into it, you know, that you've come a long way. And this is what it is all about, you know, just I go back to it, just living a healthy lifestyle. Whatever your goal is, you know, you're focusing on running and developing your cardiovascular fitness, whatever you're working towards, and just building upon that and living a healthy lifestyle. And you've come a long way, which is amazing to see.
Yeah.
We are in January, okay? So this is obviously a big month, post holidays, post Christmas, and everybody anticipates and looks forward to this time when it comes to setting new goals, ambitions. Tell me, what are your New Year's resolution goals?
Okay, so you know probably more than anyone my fitness journey. So I think the biggest resolution I have for this year is to keep up, which already is a huge improvement from start. So last year my New Year's resolution was to start running, and this year is to keep up running. So I don't want to get, you know, the runner's bug and start doing like marathons and full triathlons, but I just want to keep up running, keep it up, do 3-4 times a week. And, you know, I think it's just being more aware and in tune with the food that my body responds well to. And I'm not talking about some fad diets and all that kind of stuff, but the things that my body likes and responds well to. So whether that's, you know, increasing fiber, or reducing meat intake, or reducing dairy, or turning to vegan cheeses, you know, whatever it may be, just kind of finally, I'm 34 years old now, so I think it's a good time to understand your body as well from a more holistic side. So yeah, I think these are the only kind of 2 health-related New Year's resolutions I have. Awesome.
Sounds great. And looking back on from last year, it was amazing to see that transformation. If you don't mind me saying, it come out from nowhere. Like the running thing, I don't know where this ambition started from, but it's amazing. Like going from having no experience or little understanding on what to do. We have done well. We have done really well. And then looking back as well, you know, you had that injury, and then your determination to kind of get through that and then get back on the running height. You know, it was pretty amazing. And Yeah.
Can I just say my big injury was my broken little toe.
Yeah, it was
It's
pretty
a
bad.
lot worse than it sounds. Like
It was bad.
it literally stopped me from running, almost going to the gym, right?
It did, yeah.
And it was so minute.
Yeah. Damn, yeah, that was a terrible injury, but...
So Patrick, you tell me then, new year, new resolutions.
Yeah.
What advice do you have to your clients, particularly, and I'm sure you have a whole wealth of advice for them when it comes to New Year resolutions, because everybody will have different goals, particularly to alcohol intake and like how their behaviors around alcohol consumption?
So first of all, if we look at like setting goals in the first place, I think people place a lot of pressure on themselves with these big outcome-based goals, and I think that's where a lot of people fail.
Yeah.
And then if we relate it to alcohol, again, if people look at dry January or doing something longer, you know, that's a big commitment, especially if somebody enjoys alcohol, enjoys a drink. And I think...
And sometimes just a social aspect.
Socialize, exactly.
Yeah.
So everybody's different. And I think if I was working with someone, listening to them and getting a bigger picture, I would want to know everything about them. And then if their goal was to like, right, I'm going to go, you know, fully on board with the dry January, and I would say, okay, maybe we can just rein it in a little bit and just break it down. But I think it would be important just gaining a better understanding of that person and what they can actually do, and breaking their goal down even further.
I think that really fits in with the new conversation that's been happening this year around dry January, and it's something you and I have discussed previously around damp January.
Yeah.
So when I first heard damp January, it kind of like boggled my mind, because it kind of went everything against what dry January stands for. Mm-hmm. And at first I thought, you know, that's not right. Like, that's just for lazy people, or not determined enough, or people who aren't taking dry January seriously. But in reality, like when I took a step back, I thought it's exactly the right approach. You know, if somebody is like an alcohol consuming person and they like to socialize, go out, enjoy a glass of wine. Yeah. And I think January is just a great time to reevaluate a lot of things that we do. Yeah. And I'm fully aligned with you to say that, you know, going full kind of like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, cutting everything out. And I have that kind of personality where I can very easily go from one extreme to another. And you've seen that, like when I set a goal, I go full speed at it. But I think it's so much more important to learn to moderate things, right? Mm-hmm. And I know when I first gave up alcohol, and I really have to think back on this, because this was almost 8 years ago. So when somebody asked me, you know, how has it improved your well-being? How has that improved your fitness? Or I have to think, because it's been such a long time ago. And for me, it was such a gradual process with everything. Like, I think I was cutting back on alcohol gradually. So when I eventually gave it up, I didn't even realize it for months. Yeah. I genuinely, I think I didn't realize for about 2 months, because Christmas came, and on Christmas Day, I realized, my gosh, I haven't had any alcohol for about 2 months, you know? Yeah. So it's all about that kind of building it gradually. And I think particularly for people who are a little bit wary about cutting it out completely and doing dry January, 30 days scare them a little bit. I think it's a good approach to do damp January and try and just moderate, you know, maybe reevaluate your relationship. And the best thing about all of this is that there are alternatives to it. So the social element, right? You can still be the soul of the party. You can still turn up to your friend's house with a bottle of bubbly that we have here, you know, choose anything. Like, it could be a super premium, it could be like on the affordable side, it could be sweeter, it could be dry, it could be flavored, anything. And you can still be the fun person who turns up, has a glass of champagne, you know, in their hand, and nobody's questioning, nobody's asking. So I think having these alternatives and doing it slower in moderation, it's great, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so how many years have you gone without alcohol now?
I think almost 8, or just over 8 actually. Just
Almost
over 8 years.
So 8 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
And now I wouldn't change it for the world, you know. And I think there's so many amazing benefits that come with giving up alcohol, right? And you know, some days I come to the gym and I'm just so tired, so exhausted, and you know, it's either I've had that diet for the last few days and it really affects my performance, or I've had little sleep. You know, I do like to go out and I, you know, get in at 1 a.m. and then I'm at the gym with you at 6 and I'm just tired. So my performance like plummets. But alcohol, like when I was exercising and really into my fitness, but drinking alcohol, it would just floor me. Like I could not do anything the next day with like the best intentions. I just couldn't do anything, you know? So, yeah.
And that's what I mean. If we look at, you know, your training currently and the things you've just mentioned there, you know, sometimes you just can't control how much sleep you get. Obviously, you're a mum, obviously running your own business, all these
factors. If someone can invent a device to tell my kids to sleep, that'd be great.
It'd be amazing, right? But then if, obviously, you were consuming alcohol, that on top of other variables that affect your training, it would make a bigger impact, right? Yeah. So I'm very thankful you don't.
Okay, so do you think there is a direct correlation between somebody leading an alcohol-free lifestyle and performing better in the gym or at the gym?
Yeah, 100%. When you look at people who are, you know, drinking, and then compared to someone who isn't, what I would typically find people that I train and you know, coach, they have less kind of motivation. You know, they don't perform well in the gym, and this is mainly because alcohol itself has a sedative effect on the body. You know, it impacts our cognition, you know, motor skills, so the ability to move.
It dehydrates us as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And then we also lack, you know, judgment to perform tasks effectively. So just looking at those in particular with the effect it has on the brain, you know, we typically can't control our body efficiently or properly when we've consumed alcohol. And I would find with a client or someone that I'm training in the gym, if they've had or consumed alcohol the night before, you know, they're just not with it. That's typically what I find. And then I mentioned about the motor skills. So alcohol has a big effect on the central nervous system, and you'll find that because it has such an impact and impairs the central nervous system, people aren't able to lift heavy or lift to their potential. So there are a couple of things that I've noticed with people who consume alcohol.
And then there's me, who lives an alcohol-free lifestyle, and my husband actually. You work out with my husband as well. Yeah. And I think I genuinely see, like, okay, some days I turn up and I haven't slept enough, and I've been out, and you know, I've had a busy lifestyle. But on the whole, most mornings when I turn up, I feel really ready to go and like roaring to go. Yeah. And I think it really helps when you are on a fitness journey. More often than not, we set milestones for ourselves, right? Yeah. We like you have to work towards something. Particularly I do. Like, I'm a really results goal driven person. So if I'm doing something, I have to have some kind of an end goal. What am I trying to achieve? You know. So I think for me, like, the running has been a good example where I wanted to achieve like a point where I can comfortably run 10K, and you know, you lead the pace, and we go out running, and we achieve that. But it's just been that consistency, like time after time, turning up, well fed, well slept, having not consumed alcohol, you know, most likely enjoyed doing dry products at some point during the night, and just feeling ready to go and roaring to go. Yeah. And that's the same with me. Like, when it comes to the weekend, I would typically
avoid any alcohol consumption.
Yeah.
So my weekend usually looks like Saturday I'll go out for a long cycle. So Friday night I wouldn't have any alcohol at all. If I do, it would be drink dry product.
You were fan, like, I know I've seen you like on your Instagram and stuff, like sharing some drink dry products. What are your favorites?
Beer, DME.
Yeah.
I was
not surprised. That's literally our best selling beer that everybody absolutely loves. So I'm not surprised.
Just before Christmas, I forgot to tag you or send you the message, but I was at a restaurant, 11 Woodfire. Who
Michelin's that one.
Yeah. So I was there, and again I was driving. Didn't obviously avoid drinking, so I had one of those, and it's just a really nice experience and something that you
fit in. You're part of the party. You don't feel like you've been left out. Yeah. And particularly, it's funny you mentioned 11 Woodfire. Completely off topic here, but I find that if I'm going out to a really cool restaurant, sometimes we just pop into a pub for a bit of food. So a venue acts as a place to satisfy our need to eat. So if I'm just popping into Costa to grab a sandwich, like, I'm not bothered about whether they have alcohol free or alcoholic. I don't care. But if I'm going out, spending the money and time to go to a really fancy or nice place where food is the center of attention, I do feel let down so often as a consumer if they don't have a good beverage offering for me.
Yeah.
And I think, I was absolutely over the moon when I knew that 11 Woodfire lists so many of our products. They include our wines in different like kombucha things that they make, and which I really love the creativity behind that. They've really taken drink dry products and they've created a whole beverage menu. So even like if you look at their menu, you see Beer des Amis, you see Nirvana beer, and you don't even see a whole other list of products that they use, because they create, like, they buy a non-alcoholic wine and they infuse it with jasmine and elderflower to make their own kind of like homemade kombucha, So I think it's really creative. But I think what I'm trying to say, it's so exciting for me as a non-drinker to go out somewhere and feel catered for and feel heard and feel appreciated. And, I want to spend money on the full experience. Like, I don't want to go out and have an amazing starter, main course and dessert and great time with my friends, but drink water all night. Like, it kind of doesn't complete my full experience. I like leaving a restaurant, like getting in the car with my husband, and then for the next 15 minutes, we talk about, how amazing those scallops were, and that spice, that rosemary that they added to that, and how tender the meat was, and the cocktail they made. Did you feel that juniper-based drink? Could you feel like the dryness of the kombucha? And it's just having that full experience of the products, which I think really adds. So I'm really pleased to hear that awesome. we helped your night.
Yeah. Right. So speaking of nights out, I get this topic and question a lot about the difference or how many calories are in alcohol, like beer, wine, spirits. I get this question.
Does it shock your clients when you tell them?
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
It's like a hidden truth. I feel like the whole industry is hiding it from their own consumers, how much alcohol there is in a glass of wine or a beer or a cocktail.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And obviously I have knowledge around it, but then here's a question for you, like the difference in calories between alcoholic beverage compared to the products that you have at Drink Dry.
Look, I think on the whole, I would say, like, really generically, blanket kind of answer would be, it's a fifth of calories of what alcoholic alternative would be like. So take Beer des Amis, right? In the bottle, there's just over 60 calories in the whole bottle. So 23 calories per 100 ml. That's about a fourth or a fifth of a full, like, ABV beer, alcoholic beer, right? The same with non-alcoholic sparkling wines. They're about 17, 19 calories per glass compared to 80, 110 of Prosecco, some champagne, some rosé champagne. So my take, even when I was drinking alcohol, my take always was, when I was going out, I'm a huge foodie, so like I live to eat. Literally, I wake up in the morning and I'm already excited what I'm going to eat for breakfast. If I know I'm going out this evening, I'm going to Pad Thai, and I'm already planning like what I'm going to eat. I'm so excited. Like I get ready mentally for it. And even when I was drinking alcohol, I'd always be so conscious that if I had 2 glasses of wine or 3 glasses of wine, if it was a long night, that is a main course in itself. Like a glass of wine is about almost 300 calories, 250 calories. So, think of it that way. Like a main course is probably under 500 calories. So I would always, whether I was drinking or not, if I was going to a really nice foodie place, a really nice restaurant, I would always like nurture that 1 glass of wine and kind of not finish it, because I would rather use up those calories on a dessert or, adding another side to my main course or having the full 3-course experience, Whereas now, if I'm going out somewhere and I know I can have 2 or 3 non-alcoholic beers, or I can have 2 or 3 non-alcoholic sparkling wines, because the amount of calories adds up to an insignificant amount, and I can still enjoy that. So I'm, part of the party, part of the dinner party. I'm having 2 or 3 drinks. I'm not limiting myself. Nobody's asking me why you're not drinking or what are you drinking. Do you need a drink? Do you need a drink? Do you need a drink? Constantly, because, we all like to be good hosts. So if people see you sitting there with an empty glass, they want to top you up. So my take on that is always, if you're going out for a really nice meal and you've planned it and you're looking forward to it, I always say to people, just swap it for drink dry products. We are so widely available now in the UAE. We are in over 300 venues. Anything from, a Just Vegan cafe on Jumeirah Road to pretty much every single DIFC location and hotel chains. We are in Rotana, Marriott, Hilton. So you can find us everywhere. So you shouldn't feel kind of discomforted by it. So if you do see any of the drink dry products on the menu and you are in a foodie place, just give it a go and try replacing that sugary, calorific drink that you are drinking for drink dry products.
And that's perfect, because working and in my industry, people come to me and their goals, probably 80 to 90% are based around body composition. Okay, so I want to lose X amount of weight by this date. Okay, so for me as a coach and personal trainer, I need to get their total experience or background, understand what they are consuming. So whether that's their nutrition, so look at their food, and then also what people aren't typically switched on or knowledgeable about is the alcohol part. And
does that come up as a surprise? Like, is that
for
always
them?
Yeah, like
100%.
I feel like, because I know somebody who for a long time was like going to the gym, working out, had superb diet, like super healthy, within the right calorie intake, but was really struggling to like lose that extra bit of weight that she wanted to lose post baby. And I think it wasn't me actually who advised her, but it was her own, PT who said, well, look, what about alcohol intake? Like, and it was like a light bulb moment for her.
And when you look at it, you've mentioned with your products here, so it's a fifth, right? A fifth. Yeah. So if for example, we look at a bottle of beer, you're looking at 250 calories. So say if you're consuming,
that's mad.
I know. Say if you're consuming like 10 of those per week, okay, that's a lot of calories, right? And then you have to look at the bigger picture. How many are you consuming throughout the month? And this all adds up. People just look at what they're consuming day to day, okay? Whereas they're not looking at the bigger picture. And therefore, it's such an easy way to strip back on calories, because I think we both know that it's empty calories, right? So with energy, we don't burn energy through synthesizing alcohol. We synthesize carbs, fats, and protein, and this is where we get our energy. It doesn't give us energy, right? It doesn't give us energy. It's not something that gives us energy, no. At all, okay? So that's in reference to the empty calories. This is where it comes from. So this is why it's such an easy way to strip back on calories and aim towards building your body composition goals. Like that's
talking
the main
about
thing.
Energy levels. Is that why, because they are empty calories, is that why we come to the gym the next day if we've been enjoying a glass of wine, alcoholic? And why do we feel sluggish and tired?
So is
that going back to the conversation?
That's more focused around how it impairs our body, not necessarily around calories itself. Okay, that's just a byproduct of maybe why you've added a bit of weight.
Yeah,
that's a disadvantage of consuming too much alcohol. But the reason why we feel sluggish is more, I try and obviously keep it as simple as possible, but firstly, it impacts these neurotransmitters, okay? So our feel-good hormones such as serotonin and dopamine. Okay, so these play a big role on feeling good, feeling energized, and just improving our mood. When we consume alcohol, and a lot of alcohol has such a big impact, okay? So
it just floors it, right?
Yeah, 100%. So it impacts the release of these transmitters. Then you also look at the mood. So it affects our mood. Therefore, it kind of has a snowball effect with what else are we doing during the day? So are we feeling energized? Probably not. So what are we going to do? We're going to consume more food.
Sugary food,
probably more
give us the boost.
Exactly. Yeah. More sugary food, more simple sugars. Simple sugars make us feel good for not a very long time. Therefore, it's again, we start to feel worse as the day progresses, and it just has a bad effect. So
does exercise on the opposite? Like when we exercise, do we then release feel good hormones and serotonin and
that's right,
all of that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. And this is there's a lot of people. So I don't know if you've experienced it. Probably not. Okay, runner's high.
Not yet. I don't think I've done the distances like that.
A lot of people still say it's a myth,
but
effectively it is just the release of these feel-good hormones.
And runner's high, does that happen like while you're running? I think that's
yes. So runner's high, you feel like you can just keep running. You feel amazing, and that's the definition.
You know, I haven't experienced runner's high because, as you know, my kind of cap for running is 10K, and I'm super comfortable in that.
Yeah.
Like I do enjoy about 4K to 7K is my feel good space where my body just like autopilot runs, and I feel like my headspace just clears and I can think about stuff. But you know what I started doing recently, and I don't think I've shared this with you yet. It's something called Power Hour. So a good friend of mine, Kelly Lundberg, shout out to you. I saw her recently, and she was telling me about, you know, she's a real gym goer, and she goes maybe 4 times a week, and she does weights and cardio like a good hour and a half each day. And she's always been like an inspiration to me when it comes to fitness and the consistency, because she's somebody that I know consistently works out. So anyways, I was chatting to her, and she threw this bomb on me, something called the Power Hour. And it's basically, and this is what I started doing now. So for the last few weeks, when I come back running with you, I get in, and instead of doing anything else, I literally sit down in my home office, open my laptop, and I just work for about an hour, probably do about an hour and 20 minutes in my smelly gym clothes. Like as I walk in through the door, I just sit down and do it. And I tell you, like the hormones that I keep coming and releasing, like I feel so productive, and I genuinely feel like I achieve a lot more. My concentration span is longer. I feel energetic. I feel like I can conquer the day.
Yeah.
And then actually, like after an hour and a bit, you know, I've done the things that I need to do.
Yeah.
Go and have a shower, get ready, come back to it. And also time-wise, like I feel like I've won some time in the day because I've done my emails, I've done my responses, I've done some work even before like the world gets up and gets to the office.
It's a good feeling, right?
It's a great feeling. Like it's a great feeling. So, you know, I think, no, I haven't experienced the runner's high, but that's something new that I've tried doing with the Power Hour. So yeah, if any of your clients want to try it out, let me know how it goes. Definitely. Such a great idea, and I can see the positives there. So let's talk about sleep. Like I think for me, that's one of the biggest challenges I have in my day-to-day life for completely different reasons. So I'm a mum of 3 kids, 5, 4, and almost 2. So I sometimes feel like I'm out of the whole kind of sleepless nights thing, but just this morning, all my 3 kids were in my bed by 6 a.m. So my sleep is always disrupted. What's your take on sleep? And I think most importantly, how does alcohol affect that? Because for me, I know one thing, that yes, whilst my kids do come in the middle of the night and wake me up, the one thing that I never have anymore is struggle to sleep. You know, I can have friends over the night before and we can drink 6 bottles. We can go through a case of non-alcoholic sparkling wine, like have a full-on good catch-up, get together, you know, music's on, like a lot of laughter and chatting, and it feels like a real party. And then I just get myself ready, I go to bed, I close my eyes, and I go into deep sleep. Like, I'm not kept awake by anything else, you know? What's your take on sleep and alcohol?
So this is a topic that with sleep I love to cover, because for me, especially, you know, working as a health professional, for me, sleep and rest recovery sits as the cornerstone of fitness. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Because if you look, if it trickles down, so you have sleep, and then you have your exercise, okay, and then you also have nutrition. So with good sleep, the other two, they work really well. Okay, we feel energized, we feel like we can achieve everything, whether that's running, you know, in the gym. And then we also look at the food and the nutrition side. Again, if we have enough sleep, we're choosing wisely. We
make better choices.
We make much better choices with food. Whereas you look at the opposite, so we're not getting enough sleep, okay, for whatever reason that is. Again, in the gym, we're not achieving our best, okay? It's just not going to happen. And then with the food, what are we going to pick? We're going to pick the easy options. We're going back to those simple sugars, very, you know, highly processed foods that make us feel great.
Salty as well.
Salty, high in sugar. It's just what the body craves when we are lacking sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. And linking it to alcohol. So alcohol has such a big impact on sleep. Such a big impact. From my own experience, there's been a few times.
Never.
Well, yeah, I'll hold my hands up. Like, just going back to the summer, I went home and socialized with friends, had a few drinks, and it's amazing now. I think everybody's got a smartwatch, and my smartwatch has this feature called like a body battery. Okay,
it tracks your sleep.
It tracks your sleep and how well you recover. And this body battery is on 0 to 100. And I went out for drinks. Can't remember how many I had, but I woke up.
Your nose is growing, Pinocchio.
Yeah, I woke up the next day, and my body battery was in single figures. And I find it amazing how the smartwatches, how these devices can track. But I was wiped throughout the day.
Yeah.
And as I've got older, I understand my body much more now and how I perform my best. And alcohol, going back to it, has such a big impact. We're not getting enough quality sleep. We're not getting enough REM sleep. We're not getting enough deep sleep and light sleep as well. It has such a big impact.
You know, I think like what in 2023, we are all so busy. We have professional lives that are incredibly demanding of us. Everybody wants access to us 24/7. We have personal lives, we have children, we have husbands, wives, parents, friends. You know, we're such a global society. So there are so many demands on us in everything that we do. And I always think of myself as a lazy person, because I'm always looking for a lazy solution to my problems. Like, what is the quickest solution? And I know that for me with sleep, like I couldn't drink alcohol because that would not be my quick solution to sleep. If I know already that I'm limited to at best, like 7 hours of sleep or sometimes 6 hours of sleep, I have to make sure that those 6-7 precious hours of sleep are bang on, that they are me getting into bed, not being kept awake by any chemicals in my body, just genuinely feeling comfortable, right temperature, going to sleep. And I do genuinely think replacing lots of different, even like sugary soft drinks, not just alcohol, but sugary soft drinks before you go to bed, replacing it with drink dry products has huge benefit to it. You are replacing the empty calories. You are not putting any sugar, which is, you don't want to do that before you go to bed. And you're not dehydrating your body any further, and you're not putting any chemicals in it. You're putting something that is most likely to be sulfite free, preservative free, no sugar or very low sugar. So yeah, I think it's a win-win. Let's be precious about our time.
100%.
Oh my gosh, I really enjoyed this, Patrick. It's been really good chatting to you, getting into your head and getting all the information that you've gathered around the world of fitness and lifestyle and the things that we should be mindful. So really, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed it. And thank you so much to people who were listening to us. I hope they found something interesting and some good takeaways from that. And I think it'd be, if people enjoyed it and took anything useful out of this, do let us know what else you would like Drink Dry to talk about. We are always open and willing. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.